All right, so you're ready to record your first podcast. Do you have a microphone? Who's going to distribute for you? Do you have a studio? What about the editing? All right, everyone relax because I think I have the answer. Anchor app. Yeah, Anchor. It's free. They distribute Spotify, Apple, many more. There's creation tools that allow you to edit and create your podcast from your phone, your laptop, or your personal computer. And the best thing of all, girl, you can make money no matter how many listeners you have. So the answer is simple. Get Anchor. Anchor FM app. Go find it now. Tell them a seat at the table sent you. All right, here we are. Happy Resurrection Sunday to you and you and you too. You are all tuned in to an all new episode of A Seat at the Table podcast. What's the deal? Yeah, so I am your host, Gail. Thank you guys for listening. If you are a first-time guest, the ushers are coming down the aisle with a welcome packet. Thank you so much. If you are a returning listener, thank you. How you doing? Yeah. Listen, you guys, if you know me, then you know that Resurrection Sunday, or as it is commonly known to you sinners and to you secular folks as Easter Sunday, is by far one of my favorite holidays. One of my favorite holy days. Probably not so much because of the pageantry and stuff that goes behind it, but really because of what it has come to symbolize in the Christian faith and community. So if you are a celebrator of Easter, then kudos to you on whatever level you celebrate it. So yeah, so much to get into at the same time. Nothing at all. So we are going to get right to it. How are you doing, me love, me gentes, me peoples, me esposo? How you doing, honey? Listen. What a week, right? First of all, shout out to COVID-19. She's still here, still in the building, kicking, and taking names. Now, I live in the New York area. So for me, I'm sure that, and I think that as you examine what is happening with the coronavirus by and large all over the country, you're definitely experiencing it at different levels. Here in New York, everything is shut down. It is actually a debate as of right now whether or not schools will be closed for the remainder of the year. I know our mayor did announce yesterday that that would in fact be the case. However, that is needing the signature of our great governor, Andrew Cuomo, in order for that to be an actual reality. But as it's looking right now, we are kind of lowering the curve while still increasing the amount of deaths that are occurring due to the coronavirus. So I think that that is oftentimes the harder part for people, especially who live in the New York area, because it feels as though there could be a sense of normalcy that may be achieved through the whole process. But at the same time, you're hearing unprecedented deaths that are happening at such an alarming rate that you don't really actually know if outside will be open anytime in the near future. Now, it is my guess that outside probably won't be open fully until, I would say, June, July. And I would think that that would be actually being super, super generous to say that outside is going to be open by June or July. But, in the words of Mr. Andrew Cuomo, we are cautiously optimistic that we are slowing the spread. The change in daily ICU admissions was a negative number for the first time since the first case of corona became prevalent in New York City somewhere about January, February. So that means that there were fewer people in ICU ICU units statewide as of Thursday than the previous day, which was Friday. Now, here's something that you do need to understand, though. Within that time period, we also saw the most amount of deaths in one day here in New York City. And I think that I don't know if it surpassed 1,000. I know one day we had about close to 800 deaths surrounded by corona, and I think the day after we also saw an unprecedented amount of casualties. So I mean, I think that as we are optimistic, we are also still remaining vigilant. I think some people are a little askew about what the fuck stay home actually means. Stay home does not mean go and smoke. And now listen, I made this mistake too in the first initial steps of all of this. You know, when they first said, you really need to social distance and quarantine yourself and do all of these things, I was definitely still going to my friend's house to smoke a blunt and, chill, and still coming home. And, I was even still going to work for a while until they decided. And, what a crazy world that we live in, where work has to decide what is our, capacity for being able to withstand an actual pandemic. We actually had to get permission from someone to say, hey, you know what? Protect yourself in this moment. Like, maybe don't come back here. But had work not told me that, I would have been risking it all every day. I kid you not. I would have been risking it all. And I perished the thought of thinking, what if they never did? What if they stayed open? A lot of us are here standing in judgment of people who are still working, who are, in a lot of people's opinion, not essential workers, so why does the girl at the Target still have to work? Like, well, why is she putting herself through that? Well, she's putting herself through it because a lot of times it is what it is. You don't have a choice, and if you did have a choice, you would still pick work. The same work that you've been going to and complaining about. Oh, God, I wish I could just not work. I wish I could just, whatever the case is. You know what I mean? That one. Now you don't have to. The first round of stimulus checks were deposited as of, I believe, the day and the evening of the 11th. So, look out for your $1,200 and your additional $500 based on your children. Let's see. I think that's enough Corona talk, don't you? All right. So anyway, how you doing and shit? Bitch. Yo, you know what's crazy, you guys? Is that I'm actually I'm not mad at Corona for several reasons. And I know I said I wasn't talking about it, but this is more about the byproduct, the effects, if you will. I love that I am actually, my friends and I are actually taking the time to FaceTime each other. And it took a pandemic for us to actually be you know what? Instead of making bogus plans with one another, why don't we just actually see each other on this cellular device, bitch? Why don't we just do that? How about that? Huh? And it's been actually really cool. Here's what else is cool. The fucking Nasty Girl apps, bitch. Bitch, I'm Tootsie Rolling right now. And I ain't talking about Drake's little stupid ass Tootsie Roll. I'm talking about a real Tootsie Roll. To the left, to the right. Now dip, baby, dip. Come on now, dip, baby, dip. I mean, the Nasty Girl apps are fucking lit. Now, what I mean by that is oftentimes you can tell what's outside giving by the type of niggas that you see on the Nasty app, right? So for me, a lot of the times when it's lame niggas, outside is lit and ain't nobody trying to be held down. When it's cold outside and it's snowing, you normally see a rise in engagement. And when you do see a rise, you're getting way more, the probability of you finding oh, this is a nigga that I would actually fuck, it really does go up. So I had a friend ask me yesterday, like, what do you think the purpose of all of this is? You know what I mean? And I just was like, I mean, this is somebody that I know in the biblical way. So I didn't want to be like, well, the real purpose is that niggas gotta hold their dick. You know what I mean? And gotta like actually engage in actual conversations with bitches because, niggas won't wear condoms, but niggas will wear face masks. You know what I mean? Yeah, dig that. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is a great opportunity to get on the girl app, nasty girl app, and just start talking to some niggas, and like see what it is. Cause maybe when this is all said and done, we would have got to know each other so much that like, we like, ooh, bitch, yes, come on first date. Ew. But I've come to the consensus that niggas ain't shit. And they will use even a pandemic to shuffle and jive their way right through every girl's vagina. Okay? So, or because we equal opportunity here, or through every baby's boosie. Okay? So, at any rate, right, because it don't matter. Like, a lot of you bitches be walking around not giving it up through the cooch, through the cooter cat. But since you hear backdoor Betty and you think it's all good, or you give a lot of mouth, bitch, you just nasty like the rest of us. So get out of here. Anywho. So anyways, I get on the Nasty Girl app and I start talking to this guy. So let me just also say this, right? A lot of times I feel like people say shit like you go out with somebody, like, or you date somebody, but y'all don't actually ever go nowhere, like, or if y'all do, like, coming to his house, or you going to his house, or him coming to your house, or him picking you up from work to drop you at your house, or you picking him up from work to whatever. Unless y'all actually go somewhere, y'all are not dating. And y'all have to go. I don't understand why hetero men, and I don't know, I get the feeling that some of the fucking studs and some of the fuck boys in how you doing in that land also could probably be victim of the same, like, there's that mentality that you don't want to date, or that you shouldn't put out because you shouldn't put out money because you don't know if that person is yet worth it. And it's such a fucked up mentality. Like, getting to know somebody means that you have to see them in different atmospheres to actually discover who they are. Because people are going to tell you anything, especially when you first meet somebody. Oh, I'm mad cool. I'm this, I'm that. So I'm talking to this nigga, right? And he's acting like, oh yeah, I love to do this and I love to do that. So I finally asked him, and I think that this is a question that you should always ask. I finally asked him, when was the last time that you've been on a date? Now, to me, the reason that is important is because it shows you, A, is this person social? B, does this person actually understand the concept of dating? And C, is there a possibility that in a different social setting, this person is worth a damn? Now, if they tell you it's been years since they've gone out on a date, or it's been longer than 10 months or 8, I would say if it's been longer than 6 months, unless you're not dating. Because I think that that's also a thing. Like, people feel so bad for people who don't have somebody in that way to be like, oh, well, there's somebody that I'm tricking on. You know what I mean? Like, okay, fine. If you want to classify that as dating too, I guess. But if there's somebody that you're tricking on, I don't necessarily call that dating. You're tricking on him, so whatever. Or you're tricking on her, so whatever. But like actual dating is like you and this person actually make plans to go enjoy each other in a different setting. Yeah, like that's a thing. And I'm not talking about how much has to be spent. But I'm just talking about getting into that vibe. Anyways. So I asked this nigga, when was the last time he went on a date? And he goes, I don't date. And I was like, like, does he mean that he is like a relationship type guy, or like that he currently is not dating? So I was like, oh, so you mean you currently are not dating anyone, or like